Welcome to all my late night mysteries listeners. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. In every family, some bonds run deep. Connections forged through years of trust, love, and companionship. But what happens when those bonds are tested by loss, betrayal, and the unknown? Sometimes the past refuses to stay buried in the quiet shadows of our lives, and the ties that bind us can unravel in the most terrifying of ways. There are stories where loyalty turns to vengeance, and the unseen forces of the beyond come back to claim what was once theirs. I am Wraith. This is Late Night Mysteries. You are listening to Listener's Tales Edition.
Disclaimer: this is a work of fiction. Any names, characters, businesses, places, events, or incidents are fictitious. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or actual events is purely coincidence.
In today's episode, we delve into the story of Andy, a man whose love for his family was matched only by his devotion to his faithful companion, Rex. But sometimes, the most loyal bonds can be the most dangerous, and the truth is darker than anyone could imagine. This is his story.
Rex was more than just a dog. He was my son's best friend, my wife's loyal protector, and my silent companion during the long, lonely nights. We had him for nearly 10 years. Until that day. The day he passed. It was sudden. Too sudden. One moment, he was running around the yard, and the next, he collapsed. We rushed him to the vet, but it was too late. We buried him in the backyard, under the old oak tree where he used to play. My son, Ethan, was devastated. Rex had been his constant shadow since he was a baby. We all felt the loss, a quiet emptiness that filled the house. But then, just a few days later, things started to change. It began with the smallest of things, the creak of a floorboard in the middle of the night, the soft patter of paws on the hardwood floor. At first, I dismissed them as echoes of memories, a trick of the mind. But soon, those sounds grew louder and more insistent as if something was trying to make its presence known. I thought I was losing it. I'd hear scratching at the door, just like Rex used to do when he wanted to come in. But when I open it, nothing. No one was there. I'd find his old toys scattered around in places we hadn't touched since he left us. My wife thought Ethan was playing tricks to keep Rex's memory alive. But Ethan, he wasn't himself. Ethan had always been a bright, happy child, but after Rex's death, shadow seemed to fall over him. He would stare off into space, muttering under his breath. I would hear him talking to someone in his room at night, his voice calm, almost fearful. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. I asked him, "Ethan, who were you talking to?" He just looked at me with those wide eyes, so innocent, and said, "Rex, Daddy. He's back. He's different." A chill ran down my spine. Rex. Back? It couldn't be. It shouldn't be. But then, the noises, the toys, Ethan's strange behavior, everything pointed to one horrifying possibility, and the nights were only getting worse. I started waking up in the middle of the night to Ethan's screams. He'd be standing in his room, pointing to the corner, where I could swear I saw shadows moving. But every time I turned on the light, nothing. The room would be empty. Just Ethan, shivering, saying Rex was watching him from the dark. And then came the night that changed everything. The night I woke, I found Ethan missing from his bed. I searched the house, calling his name, but there was no answer. I ran outside, and there he was, standing by Rex's grave in the dead of night, whispering. As I got closer, I could hear it. He was pleading, begging. "Please, Rex, don't be mad. I didn't mean to let you go." And then I saw it. A pair of glowing eyes in the darkness stared back at me from the shadows near the tree. Eyes that I knew, eyes that couldn't possibly be there. But they were. The unmistakable eyes of Rex were filled with a fury that no living creature should ever have. I grabbed Ethan and ran back to the house. The wind was howling, and I could hear the growls growing louder and closer. It was like Rex was right behind us, chasing us. But when we got inside and slammed the door, it all stopped. There was silence, as if nothing had ever happened. But the silence was more terrifying than the noise. For now, I knew that Rex was still there, watching, waiting, and that whatever had returned wasn't the dog we had loved. I tried to protect my family, but Rex returned every night, not as the friend we knew, but as something else, something twisted by death, something filled with anger. And Ethan was slipping away, drawn to the dog that wasn't there. As the days turned into weeks, the hauntings grew more intense. But it wasn't just Rex's ghost I had to worry about. The gnawing question kept me up at night. Why did Rex die so suddenly? He had been healthy and full of life, and then gone in an instant. I couldn't let it go. I started digging around, looking for answers. That's when I found something strange. Rex's food had been tampered with. Someone had fed him something poisonous. My world began to unravel. Who could have done this? Who would want to harm Rex? The answer was closer than I could have ever imagined. We had a helper, Patricia, who had been with us for years. She loved Rex. Or at least I thought she did. But that night, unfortunate things happened. I heard the screams and cries coming from Patricia's bedroom. My wife and I quickly ran to her room, but Patricia, locked in her room and clawed at the door, begging for forgiveness. We tried to pry open the door, but to no avail. But there was silence that drowned out her cries. We called out her name. There was no reply. We panicked. We called the police, but it was too late when the police arrived shortly. She was gone. She hanged herself from a ceiling fan. A diary on a bed in Patricia's room was stained with tears. A confession. Rex had bitten Patricia's lover, a man who had no business being in my house while my family and I were away, a man who had threatened to expose Patricia's secrets to us and tried to ruin her life. In her panic, she decided to eliminate the only witness, Rex. She poisoned him. She took away my son's best friend, my family's protector, all to protect herself, and she thought she could get away with it. Maybe Rex's spirit haunted her because of her wrongdoings. The truth, once uncovered, was more terrifying than the hauntings themselves. Patricia had killed Rex. And now, is this justice? We sold the house and moved out, leaving everything behind. But sometimes, I still hear it late at night. The sound of paws on the floor, a distant bark. And I know Rex is still watching, still waiting.
Some bonds are stronger than death, and the consequences of our actions can reach beyond the grave. When we betray those we love, we may find that the past is never indeed buried, and sometimes it comes back to haunt us in the most unexpected ways. Well, that's all we have for today. Once again, I am Wraith. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Late Night Mysteries.